Welcome to FuelBrain, the channel dedicated to helping you grow and thrive in all areas of your life. Today's podcast is all about relationships and how to build strong connections with the people in your life. We all know that relationships are essential to our well-being, but sometimes we struggle to connect with others and form meaningful bonds. That's where today's topic comes in. We'll be exploring practical tips and strategies for building better relationships, inspired by the insights shared in a classic book that has stood the test of time. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle and forget about the importance of connecting with others. But the truth is, relationships are the foundation of a happy and fulfilling life. Whether it's our friendships, romantic relationships, or even our professional connections, the quality of our relationships can have a profound impact on our happiness, success, and overall well-being. That's why we're dedicating today's podcast to exploring the fundamental principles of building strong relationships. We'll be sharing practical tips and insights that you can apply to your own life to start building better connections with the people around you. From understanding the importance of empathy and listening, to mastering the art of persuasion and influence, we'll cover a range of topics that will help you become a master of relationships. So whether you are looking to strengthen your existing relationships, or you're hoping to forge new connections in your personal or professional life, this podcast is for you. We'll be diving deep into the world of relationships and sharing practical tips and strategies that you can apply to your own life right away. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn how to build stronger, more fulfilling relationships, inspired by the timeless wisdom of one of the most influential books on relationships and human behavior.
Section 1. Fundamental Techniques in Handling People. One of the key principles of building relationships is the importance of listening actively. Active listening is a fundamental technique in handling people because it helps us to truly understand what others are saying and what they mean. When we listen actively, we are paying attention to both verbal and nonverbal cues, asking clarifying questions, and showing that we are genuinely interested in what the other person has to say. Active listening can be a challenge for some people, especially in the age of constant distraction and information overload. However, it's an essential skill that can help you build stronger relationships with others. To become a more active listener, start by eliminating distractions and giving the other person your undivided attention. Practice empathizing with their emotions and trying to see the situation from their perspective. For example, imagine you're having a conversation with a friend who's expressing their concerns about a situation at work. Instead of interrupting them or dismissing their concerns, try to actively listen by showing empathy and understanding. You could say something like, "That sounds really frustrating. I can understand why you're feeling that way. Can you tell me more about what happened?" By demonstrating that you're actively listening and interested in what your friend has to say, you're building a strong relationship and showing that you value their opinion. Another important principle is the need to avoid criticism and negativity. Criticizing others or being negative can create a defensive atmosphere and damage relationships. Instead, focus on finding positive things to say and providing constructive feedback in a way that is respectful and supportive. It's important to recognize that everyone makes mistakes and has areas for improvement. However, how you deliver feedback can make all the difference in how it's received. By focusing on the positive and providing specific, actionable feedback, you can help others improve without making them feel discouraged or defensive. For instance, let's say you're working on a project with a coworker who made a mistake. Instead of criticizing them for their error, try to provide constructive feedback by saying something like, "I noticed this mistake, but I appreciate all the work you've done on this project so far. Let's work together to fix it." By providing feedback in a respectful and positive way, you're showing that you value your coworker and their contributions, and you're working together to find a solution. It's also important to recognize that everyone has different perspectives and experiences. When we take the time to understand and appreciate others' perspectives, we can build stronger relationships and avoid misunderstandings. Imagine you're having a discussion with a colleague who has a different opinion than you. Instead of dismissing their opinion or trying to prove them wrong, try to understand their perspective by saying something like, "I can see why you feel that way. Can you tell me more about your thought process?" By understanding their perspective and showing empathy, you're building a stronger relationship and demonstrating that you value their opinion. Finally, it's important to be mindful of your body language and tone of voice when interacting with others. Nonverbal cues such as facial expressions and tone of voice can convey a lot of information, sometimes even more than the words we use. By being aware of your body language and tone of voice, you can avoid unintentionally sending negative or dismissive messages to others. The key takeaway from this section is that building strong relationships requires empathy, kindness, and effective communication skills. By demonstrating genuine interest in others and avoiding negativity, we can create a positive and supportive environment that encourages growth and success. Remember, active listening, constructive feedback, and open-mindedness are essential in handling people effectively. By practicing these fundamental techniques, we can create meaningful connections with others and influence them positively. Let's explore another example to illustrate the importance of fundamental techniques in handling people. Imagine you are a manager of a team at a fast-paced, high-stress job. One of your employees consistently struggles to keep up with the workload and makes mistakes that impact the team's performance. In this situation, it can be tempting to criticize the employee for their mistakes and blame them for the team's poor performance. However, this approach is unlikely to be effective in motivating the employee to improve. Instead, try to approach the situation with empathy and a constructive mindset. Start by actively listening to the employee's concerns and challenges. Ask questions to understand their perspective and identify potential solutions. Then, provide feedback in a respectful and supportive manner, focusing on the employee's strengths and areas for improvement. You could say something like, "I understand that this job can be stressful, but I appreciate all the effort you put into your work. Let's work together to identify areas where you can improve and provide you with the necessary resources and support." By approaching the situation in this way, you are showing empathy and respect for the employee's challenges and creating a positive and supportive environment that encourages growth and development. This approach is more likely to motivate the employee to improve and contribute to the team's success. Another fundamental technique in handling people is to focus on creating win-win situations. This means finding solutions that benefit both parties involved, rather than trying to come out on top at the expense of the other person. For example, imagine you're negotiating a business deal with a potential client. Rather than trying to win the deal at any cost, focus on finding a solution that benefits both parties. Listen to the client's needs and concerns, and try to find creative solutions that meet their needs while also aligning with your business goals. By focusing on creating win-win situations, you can build long-term relationships with clients and partners and create sustainable success. In conclusion, the fundamental techniques in handling people are essential for building strong relationships and achieving success in both personal and professional settings. By showing empathy, active listening, and respect, we can create a positive and supportive environment that encourages growth and development. By avoiding criticism and negativity, focusing on constructive feedback, and creating win-win situations, we can build meaningful connections with others and influence them positively. Remember, these skills take practice and effort, but the rewards are worth it.
Section 2. 6 Ways to Make People Like You. Welcome to today's podcast, where we'll be discussing 6 ways to make people like you, which is one of the fundamental principles discussed in a classic self-help book on interpersonal communication. As social beings, we all have an inherent desire to be liked and accepted by others. This desire is not only natural but also plays a crucial role in our personal and professional success. Therefore, it's essential to understand how to build strong relationships and create positive impressions on others. The first way to make people like you is to show a genuine interest in them. This means taking the time to get to know them, their interests, and their goals. When you meet someone new, ask them questions about themselves and actively listen to their response. Show curiosity and empathy towards their experiences and perspectives. For example, if you're attending a networking event and you meet someone new, ask them about their job, hobbies, or travel experiences. Engage in a conversation that shows you're genuinely interested in getting to know them. By showing interest in others, you're making them feel important and valued, which is a powerful way to build relationships. The second way to make people like you is to smile. A smile is a universal language that signals warmth, openness, and friendliness. When you smile, you make others feel more comfortable and at ease in your presence. Smiling also makes you more approachable and attractive, which can positively influence how others perceive you. For example, imagine you're attending a job interview and you're nervous. As soon as you enter the room, smile at the interviewer and maintain a positive demeanor throughout the interview. Your smile will create a positive impression and make the interviewer more likely to like you. The third way to make people like you is to remember and use their names. People love hearing their own names, and it makes them feel important and valued. When you remember someone's name, it shows that you care about them and that they are not just another face in the crowd. For example, imagine you're attending a business meeting and you meet someone new. After the meeting, make sure to write down their name and use it when you follow up with them. By using their name, you'll make them feel more connected to you and increase the likelihood of building a strong relationship. The fourth way to make people like you is to be a good listener. When you listen attentively to others, you show that you respect and value their opinions. Active listening involves focusing on what the other person is saying, asking clarifying questions, and summarizing their points to show you understand them. For example, imagine you are having a conversation with a friend who's going through a difficult time. Instead of offering advice or solutions, focus on listening to them and showing empathy towards their experiences. Ask open-ended questions and encourage them to share their thoughts and feelings. By being a good listener, you're creating a safe and supportive environment that allows for deeper connections to form. The fifth way to make people like you is to talk about their interests. People love talking about themselves and their passions. When you show an interest in what others care about, you make them feel valued and understood. For example, imagine you're attending a dinner party and you meet someone who's passionate about cooking. Ask them about their favorite recipes or cooking techniques and engage in a conversation that shows you're interested in their hobbies. By talking about their interests, you're creating a positive and enjoyable experience that strengthens the relationship. The sixth and final way to make people like you is to make them feel important. Everyone wants to feel important and valued. When you show appreciation for others and acknowledge their contributions, you create a positive and affirming environment that builds strong relationships.
Section 3. 6 ways to make people like you. In life, we often find ourselves in situations where we need to persuade others to see things from our point of view. Whether it's in our personal relationships or our professional life, the ability to influence others can make a big difference in our success and happiness. The first technique for winning people to your way of thinking is to find common ground. When we focus on our differences, it can be easy to become defensive or argumentative. Instead, look for areas of agreement and build on those. By finding common ground, you can create a sense of unity and collaboration, which can make it easier to persuade others to your point of view. An excellent example of someone who uses this technique effectively is former President Barack Obama. In his speeches and interviews, he often emphasizes shared values and experiences, such as the American dream and the importance of equality. By finding common ground, he is able to connect with a wide range of people and win their support for his ideas and policies. Another technique for winning people to your way of thinking is to present your ideas in a way that appeals to others' self-interest. People are often more receptive to ideas that they believe will benefit them in some way. When presenting your ideas, focus on how they will help the other person or meet their needs. This can help to create a sense of buy-in and make it easier for them to see things from your perspective. A classic example of someone who used this technique effectively is Dale Carnegie himself. In his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, he recounts a story of how he was able to convince a client to buy a large order of bacon by focusing on how it would help the client increase their profits. By presenting the idea in a way that appealed to the client's self-interest, he was able to persuade them to see things from his point of view. A third technique for winning people to your way of thinking is to appeal to their emotions. People are often more receptive to ideas that make them feel a certain way. By tapping into their emotions, you can create a sense of connection and make it easier for them to see things from your perspective. For example, if you are trying to persuade someone to support a charity, you might share a story about how the charity helped someone in need. By appealing to their emotions, you can create a sense of empathy and make it easier for them to support your cause. One example of someone who uses this technique effectively is the late Steve Jobs. Jobs was known for his ability to create products that not only met people's needs but also evoked strong emotions. By appealing to people's emotions, he was able to create a sense of loyalty and build a passionate following for his products and brand. In conclusion, the techniques for winning people to your way of thinking include finding common ground, presenting ideas in a way that appeals to others' self-interest, and appealing to their emotions. By focusing on these techniques, you can become a more effective communicator and persuader. Remember, the key to winning people over is not about being manipulative or deceptive, but rather about creating a sense of connection and empathy. By understanding the needs and desires of others, you can make it easier for them to see things from your perspective and achieve your goals.
Section 4. Be a leader. As a leader, it is important to be able to provide feedback and constructive criticism to your team members without creating negative feelings or causing resentment. The section we will be discussing today offers several valuable techniques to help leaders achieve this goal. The first technique is to start with praise and honest appreciation. When you are giving feedback or criticism, it can be helpful to begin with a positive comment that acknowledges the individual's strengths and contributions. This can help to create a positive and constructive tone for the conversation and can make the person more receptive to your feedback. For example, if you are giving feedback to a team member who struggled with a project, you could start by saying, "I really appreciate the hard work you put into this project, and I can see that you have some great ideas for how to improve it. I wanted to share some feedback that I think could help us take this project to the next level." The second technique is to provide specific examples and suggestions for improvement. When giving feedback, it is important to be specific about the areas that need improvement and to offer concrete suggestions for how to make those improvements. This can help the person to understand exactly what they need to do to make progress and can make the feedback feel more actionable and less personal. For example, if you are giving feedback to a team member who struggled with time management, you could say, "I noticed that you are consistently running behind schedule on this project, and I think that improving your time management skills could help us stay on track. Have you considered using a time tracking tool or breaking down your tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks?" The third technique is to frame the feedback in a positive way. Instead of focusing on the negative aspects of the person's performance, try to frame the feedback in a way that highlights the potential benefits of making the suggested changes. This can help the person to feel motivated and inspired to make improvements, rather than defensive or resentful. For example, instead of saying, "You need to improve your communication skills," you could say, "If we can improve our communication skills as a team, we'll be able to work more efficiently and effectively together." The fourth technique is to listen actively and empathetically. When you are giving feedback, it is important to listen carefully to the other person's response and to show empathy for their perspective. This can help to build trust and respect, and can create a more collaborative and constructive conversation. For example, if a team member expresses frustration or disappointment with your feedback, you could say, "I understand that this feedback might be difficult to hear, and I appreciate your willingness to listen and consider my suggestions. Can you share more about how you see the situation and what we can do to work together to improve?" The final technique is to offer support and follow-up. After giving feedback or criticism, it is important to offer support and encouragement to the person as they work to make improvements. This can include checking in with them regularly to see how they are progressing, offering additional resources or training opportunities, or simply expressing confidence in their ability to make the necessary changes. For example, after giving feedback to a team member, you could say, "I'm really excited to see how you implement these changes, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. Let's touch base next week to see how things are going. And feel free to reach out to me if you need any additional support or resources." In conclusion, being an effective leader means being able to provide feedback and criticism in a way that is. Another important aspect of being a leader is to focus on solutions rather than problems. People are naturally drawn to those who are optimistic and have a can-do attitude. When faced with challenges or obstacles, it's important to maintain a positive attitude and encourage others to do the same. This helps to create a culture of problem-solving rather than dwelling on issues. For example, let's say that you are the manager of a team that is responsible for developing new products. Your team is facing a challenge with a particular project, and progress has stalled. As a leader, you could respond in a number of ways. You could become frustrated and criticize your team for not making progress, which would likely make them defensive and demotivated. Alternatively, you could approach the problem with a positive attitude, brainstorm solutions with your team, and encourage them to keep trying until they find a solution. This approach is much more likely to lead to success and will help your team to feel motivated and engaged. Finally, it's important to lead by example. As a leader, your actions and behavior set the tone for your team. If you want your team to be respectful, collaborative, and focused, you need to model those behaviors yourself. This means being punctual, following through on commitments, treating others with respect, and demonstrating a willingness to learn and grow. When your team sees that you are committed to these values, they are more likely to adopt them as well. In summary, being a leader requires a number of skills and qualities, including effective communication, empathy, the ability to inspire and motivate others, and a focus on solutions rather than problems. By following these principles, you can become a more effective leader and build a strong and engaged team.
In this episode of FuelBrain, we discussed the importance of relationships and how to improve them. We covered the fundamental techniques of handling people, the 6 ways to make people like you, how to win people to your way of thinking, and how to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. By following these principles, we can build stronger and more meaningful relationships that will benefit us both personally and professionally. Remember to always show genuine interest in others, make them feel valued and important, and communicate with respect and empathy. Thanks for listening, and we hope these tips will help you improve your relationships.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of FuelBrain. We hope that you have gained valuable insights on how to improve your relationships with others, and that you will apply these techniques in your daily life. Stay tuned for more exciting content coming your way. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on our latest videos. Remember, building strong relationships is a key factor in achieving success in both your personal and professional life.